Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, another episode of the Flurza podcast, the Flurza experience, if you will, a show about Gwent, but so much more. We haven't been canceled yet. Can you believe that? I'm joined by the wardrobe wizard, Pavel Burza. I'm trying to do something new every week, Pavel, where it's like something related to your, because you're known for your suits.
Oh, but what? Why? I mean, there's more to me than my suits, and I wouldn't consider myself a wardrobe wizard unless I was. I don't know if anyone watches Queer Eye, you have Tan there, and he's able to like create like a new look for people. I could not do that. I wear pretty much the same stuff, like a t-shirt, a hoodie. Same type of jeans, you know. I'm no wizard. But yeah, hello, episode 4 of the experience. I like experience, the Flurza experience. So this is a prequel, which is after a trilogy, right?
Yeah, well, kind of, I guess. I mean, like, there was episode 4, 5, 6 of Star Wars, and then they came out with the prequels. So usually after trilogy, you usually go back in time, kind of like they did it with the Phantom Menace, they did it with the Hobbit, like after successful trilogies, right? So you kind of do the prequel thing after a trilogy. I don't know. That's kind of how I've seen it.
So yeah, episode 4, A New Hobbit Hope.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you got the Star Wars, you got the Lord of the Rings in there, but what we don't have is Sharknadoes, which is good. This is a Sharknado-free zone. Thank God. Just
maybe a new Hobbit Sharknado hope.
How quick would the Lord of the Rings ended if the battle, Battle of Gondor or the battle at Helm's Deep had a Sharknado? Just roll through it.
Yeah, just roll through it. Probably by the just all the orcs and the Uruk-hai and the goblins. It could go that way. Leave all the good people alone, but all the baddies get hit by Sharknado.
Just picture Gandalf is like, I have summoned water and wind and great white sharks. Yes, put it together and go.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome, but I think it would be a bit too much, and I don't think sharks were part of like the fantasy genre in any way.
Well, they had like the Oliphants, like, look, Frodo, Oliphants, and they're just gigantic like elephant like war machines, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well,
awesome stuff. So for this episode, we will talk about, of course, update 10.2, which came out on Tuesday. Yes. We will talk about the new journey featuring Dandelion and Dijkstra and their unlikely relationship. And we will talk about an end of an era. And if you look, you will guess probably what it is if you're in the Gwent community. But if you don't have an idea, just look at Flake's t-shirt. That will tell you something about it.
Busted it out. Yeah.
Yep.
There it is.
So some changes in the pro scene. And of course, we will have a brand new Babcia Marysia Polish word of the week. This one's really, really good this time. I really like, although all of them are good, but this one's gonna be a hard one to explain. And of course, we will round it out by answering your questions, which you asked on Reddit and also on Twitter.
So this journey, I mean, like, as always, there's the little bit of a teaser, like on the playgwent.com webpage or whatever, there's the countdown, and there's always speculation. Everybody, even when the journey is like well underway, it's just kind of right in the midst of it. People are always just tossing their ideas as to, okay, what is the journey going to be? Who is the character? What is the theme of this particular journey? And there was lots of speculation for this journey, and some might have held out a little bit of hope that it was going to be Dagon. So we're going to do what we always do, which is update you on our Dagon rumor report. So Burza, if you will, the Dagon rumor report, please.
Yes, sir. So we have joined forces with the United Nations and consulted with international weather experts who have been studying an increase in fog-related events. So this is very scientific, important stuff. They have concluded there's precisely a 0% chance that Dagon will be a thing.
Yes, I am very enthused that, especially now during the Olympics, that the governments of the world can agree on one thing. And that is that Dagon is not happening. Okay. Let's start with the Wayback Machine, which we do every week. We go back in time and kind of peruse through some of the headlines that were going around in Gwent over the course of its short but impactful lifespan. And this week in Gwent history, 2021, which seems like that's the year we're in. No, we're in 2022. No. A year ago this week, the Yennefer journey kicked off.
Yes, it did. And awesome story, awesome character, better than Triss, Team Yen. Hashtag Team Yen, of course. I can't believe it's been already like a year.
It has.
Feels like it was yesterday also, but at the same time, it's been quite some time since that one launched.
Which is nice. I mean, there was the Geralt one that kicked off, and then we had a whole bunch of other ones afterwards. The Yennefer one was pretty decent, and I know that there's always people who there's going to be your criticisms of the journey, and a lot of it is just like, oh, I don't like this character. But, if you dig deeper and beyond that, what's cool about it is just the fact that some of the cards and the trinkets and stuff that you get are pretty sweet. And I really liked the Yennefer journey. It wasn't my favorite by any means, but it was a pretty decent one, and I liked it. I think I still think I like the Regis one the best, purely because there was you get the 3 different ones, right? Like the 3 different characters.
Yeah. You see, you have the normal human form, then you have half breed, and then the full vampire transformation of his. But yeah, I think that one was really cool. But what I like for Yennefer were the awesome different auras that she had kind of around her. Mm-hmm. And I really like her hooded version, which is the one that I kind of go for when I'm playing. And of course the coins with the special pentagram that she had on her necklace. Those were awesome. So
the addition of the coin being different is kind of cool. I like that as well. Yeah.
Agreed.
2018, believe it or not, Ooh. 4 freaking years ago. 4 years ago.
With a blast from the past.
Draft mode was announced 4 years ago. It has been 4 freaking years. And what's really fascinating about this is that when I was digging through this, the announcement of draft was done as a little bit of a 30-second teaser video. And I watched that teaser video. And who was in that teaser video? You had King Blacktooth and you had Merchant in that video, which is this for some who are out there there's 2 responses. One was oh, damn. Those are some names, especially Merchant. Merchant was a face of Gwent. And there are going to be so many people listening to this who are who the living F is Merchant? Because Merchant, for those who do not know, is a pillar of Gwent, a building block, a foundational member of the community who was part of the broadcasting crew for so long, streamed it, then went to Magic, and then it doesn't stream anymore in general. It's just, but you want to talk about one hell of a voice, man. Merchant is pretty big deal.
Incredible voice. I think one of the most well-known voices on the casting team for sure. I loved having him as the caster, content creator. He was doing everything. He was streaming, he was creating content. He was also very, very up when it came to critiquing the game and also testing stuff with us. So I mean, he like you said, for sure I would call him a pillar. But like you say, he then ventured to MTG, played a little bit of that, and after that he kind of stopped streaming and stopped doing that type of content creation. I see him posting stuff from time to time.
Yeah.
Awesome dude all around. If he's ever watching this, shout out to him, because he was amazing, great. I mean, still is. But yeah, it was nice to work with him on all the Gwent related stuff.
I don't know if he'd listen to this. I'll poke him and say, hey, we talked about you. But one thing that I can say about Merchant, Merchant and I don't think we've ever met face to face, because we kind of never sort of our careers within Gwent never really crossed paths in that or overlapped in that regard. However, we have talked a lot, and I can honestly say that Merchant is somebody who has never pulled punches with me. He's always been incredibly honest with me, and I've respected and appreciated that as friends. And I think he lives I think he moved to Toronto, which is ridiculous.
Oh, really?
Yeah, wow, I could be wrong, but I know that he has some Canadian association. I got to double check that, but I'm pretty sure he could live on my street, and I have no idea. But
Nice.
the point of this Wayback is the fact that draft mode is 4 years old, and I know that it got an update recently.
Wow.
We spoke about it this week. I particularly am not yet completely satisfied with draft mode. I think that I think it needs work, but this is something that I personally would, if it had a few extra little adjustments, I think that this is something that I would dedicate. I would consider going back to streaming for.
Because you like limited formats, so like you like drafting cards, you like creating things from scratch. You're not like me. I'm big on constructed and creating the best awesome cookie cutter deck, and you're more kind of like, let me create something cool out of this. Although to be quite honest, recently I've started enjoying drafting in limited as a thing. I think it's pretty cool.
I think I gotta give it another go, like this draft mode. Like I tried it once, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I mean, I went like 6-1, I think, with the free draft token. I got it was. And what's cool is like you're playing and you're like, okay, like you're creating these odd synergies and stuff. There were some things that need tweaking in terms of like swapping cards and like a little bit of the format of it. I think that maybe it's a situation of, you get a little bit too cute with things. You get a little bit too technical. I think that draft just needs to be boiled down to a little bit more of a bare bones thing. But it's a mode that like you said, I love the fact that there is because I'm not a deck builder. I'm not a Shinmiri. I'm not a Speci or all these other people who create these fascinating decks. That's not me. I like limited because it's, to me, limited. Like, for instance, sealed. For those who don't know what sealed is you get 6 packs of a set and you build a deck out of it. Like just with what you're given. To me, it's more of like how do you grow a flower out of this pile of crap, So
yeah, exactly.
And it's a fascinating thing. It's a puzzle, and that's what I appreciate of it, because everyone has the same problem. So it rewards more of your creativity within a limited scope, and your understanding of resources and such. So I wish it was just a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it still needs some work, especially on the packages side, because those feel like they're kind of outdated. Same goes for the card pool that is available in them. So yeah, of course we're aware of that. I mean, it's still a work in progress type of deal. So there will be some tweaks coming to it in the near future. The problem with draft overall kind of is the fact that, it is something additional to like the standard mode that we have put like a lot of focus into, and that is kind of our main thing. Like, so multiplayer is working, so we keep everything balanced, and then on top of that we have our balance team also working on our Golden Necker project, plus they are also working on draft now. So it's just, you gotta pick your battles and kind of make things work somehow. But yeah, we're aware, and hopefully we'll make that thing better in the near future, because I think there are players that just they choose like limited and sealed formats like over anything else, because not everybody is a deck builder. Like, not everybody wants to like fine tune like special pieces within the deck and trying to make it even better, or kind of tailor to the meta that they're playing in. Some people just like to take, like you said, cards which normally would not maybe like work together or fit together, and try to put them together and make them like work, right? So I get that. And that's, like I said, I've been recently appreciating a little bit of sealed, and I think it's overall it's a cool format for people who want to just also like learn about the cards, want to have fun. And sometimes you can come up with some crazy like combos and ideas, which would normally not work in a deck that is this like high fine tuned. Every piece is like perfect. So yeah.
There was I remember one of the deck I drafted had Passiflora and Haunt, and it was, and I had all the pieces for it. Like, I had everything to get it to go. So it was like, all right, round one, just jam whichever one of the scenarios I draw is like, that's the round one. And then there's the round 3. Like, so like, let's have fun. And the one game I lost was because somebody had an equally as ridiculous draft. It was like, they had like the 3 or 4 roaches jumping out. They had they had like the ignis to crush me. It was
I
so
remember
fun.
those days.
But like the fun part about it was the fact that like, yeah, you're getting crushed, but it's draft, so you're not upset because it's like, oh, I have to deal with another igni. It's like, oh, they got an igni, like that's so cool. Like in the same regard that you're proud of the nonsense that you drafted, like that's what I love about it. You don't feel as bad losing in draft as you do in another game, because it's just you roll the dice and you see what you get, and it's fun in that regard. And
you just appreciate it a lot more. I agree with you here. Like you appreciate it because like, oh, someone came up with this and it actually makes sense. So you can't really feel bad because it's not like they had all the best cards in the set in order to, start and create like a magnificent, crazy deck. I mean, even if they did, even if you gave someone like all the cards from a set, let's say, and say like, okay, create something out of this set, like they could make something that would be crazy, but you also need to think about that you have a limited time always to create that. It's not like you can do it like that, done. I know all the cards like easily pieced together. And I also like when there's any like drafts, I will use MTG as an example. I really like when like the pros, they do like power rankings for each cards and kind of say like, this card is viable, this is like a 2.5, this is 3. I really like those because it kind of gives you the perspective, like when drafting, you if you like do your homework before, you're like, okay, I know this card is a 3, is a 4, but still that itself doesn't really like fully translate into what you'll get in packs and what you'll create from the cards that you get and what your opponents will draft and create. So it's always like there's always this element of surprise, which is really cool with the format.
Which is super awesome. And what I used to like is Hearthstone used to have like this running challenge of like 110. Like, can you win 100 draft games or arena games in 10 like goes, and the max wins you can get in a run is 12, so you'd have to average 10 of 12 every time. And I remember a while ago, a long time ago, when draft was announced, I guess that's when it was, like 3 or 4 years ago, I made a challenge, which was, I think at the time it was like 75 wins in 10 runs, because I think the max you could win was 9 games or something like that. And I want to actually reintroduce this. So the max you can win is 7, right? I think in a run is you can win 7. So I want to put out a challenge, and I don't know what the prize is going to be yet. But I'll make it decent. It could be like, it might be like some of my like, I might give away my Gwent pins. I've got sealed Gwent cards. I've got T-shirts and stuff like that. I'll figure something out. But we
can throw in some kegs too.
Oh, there you go. So here you go. So CDPR is right on this. Pavel Burza is going to put his kegs where his mouth is too.
Exactly.
How about this? Does this seem correct? 60 wins in 10 games. So you need to average 6 wins. I think it's certainly difficult,
decent. But
what we need is the proof. Like we want the proof of it. So if there's people streaming out there, or recording their sessions or whatever, if you could prove to us that you won 60 draft games in 10 goes, then I think that's fair. I think that's
very fair.
All right, and I'm gonna make it because I think this could actually be fairly difficult. So, I'll find some cool prizes, and if you can do it, we'll do it. All right, topics for today.
We got it,
Mr. Pavel.
You said it. It's live, so it's gonna happen.
It's on the record. If it's on the Flurza experience, then it's gospel. It's like it's written in stone.
Yeah.
I mean, the new patch, I don't know how much we can really want to dig into this. There's so much that's basically been switched and changed. And my main criticism of this is not necessarily of the fact that there's
changes for monsters.
Which is good. I mean, that typically is a good thing, and that could potentially change, because when you're changing everything else, it by consequence, you're kind of influencing monsters, because everything else around monsters is different. So the way it interacts with those other factions might have to mean that monsters has to get a kick in the pants. But ultimately, my slight criticism, not necessarily of this particular patch, I love the fact that cards get balanced regularly because they need to. But for me, it was more the sense of another just broad stroke of changes to Northern Realms, and I think that in retrospect, whenever
I saw your comment on
yeah.
Twitter.
I just don't like. I've never liked Northern Realms. I've never been into it. I've never really dug into it. When you look at, I play Skellige more than I play Northern Realms, and you know how much I ate Skellige. Pardon my language. I had to. There it is. The first swear by me on the show. But it's like Northern Realms just never seems to be solidified as anything. It's gone through so many changes.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like the problem with NR always has been trying to find its like core identity as a faction. Like what is it? What is it about? Is it about orders? Is it about crew? What is it? Like before, like since the beginning of time, I mean they had Hansel, they had all their gold immunity, they had all these, crazy what was their names? The Reaver Hunters, which were kind of crazy back in the day and stuff like that. But they never had like their true identity, and it's kind of a mixed bag. I think after Homecoming we needed also some time for them to kind of like be the faction that focuses on orders and stuff like that and the crew abilities, and we're kind of going back and forth. But I think it's very hard to nail like a full-on identity for this faction. Like for others it's easy, and I think that all of them are kind of they have their distinct, let's say, feeling towards them. Like if you look at Syndicate, you know what to expect. Same goes for like Nilfgaard with all the manipulation, and now Spies kind of coming back into the mix and being more viable. Monsters having consumed vampires, Thrive, all that stuff. So there's Scoia'tael, which is like I think very fleshed out as a specific faction. While for NR, I also feel like they're kind of all over the place, and I feel like they're losing some of this like core identity in it. But I know that our design team more or less is trying to like figure it out, like what to do with NR. So it's in a very, very solid, good place. And I also remember like when McBeard was faction ambassador for NR, like he was complaining a lot about the faction itself, and I totally understand him because there's too much. There was kind of too much going on and nothing like put in the right bag or in the right place for the faction in order for it to thrive, let's say.
Yeah, it seems like there was like you could point to any of the other factions and not just what the cards do, but you get it like this feel, right? You situate yourself within the environment of what that faction is meant to represent. You look at Syndicate and you're like, yeah, Syndicate, crime and money being laundered and all kinds of nonsense. Like everyone you point to, including monsters, and monsters, like even at that regard, it's like, all right, it's just big pockets of points, like just massive. And I mean, they have like vampires that do a little bit more, naughty things in that regard. But like most of it is like, okay, Deathwish is just punishing control to develop points. But Northern Realms has always had this shifting identity of, all right, are we orders? Are we point and click? Are we like this boosty engine style, snowball effect of answer everything or it's going to get ugly kind of situation? And my buddy Christo made a really good observation, and he mentioned, so him and I have been playing cards for, I've known him for over 30 years. We've been playing cards for over 20 years. And
that's long.
Yeah, we met in kindergarten. We are OGs.
Wow, kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
You guys go way.
We go way back. There are pictures of us at birthday parties together when we were like little bambinos. So we'll try to like dig some of those up. But when I say like he's like a brother of mine, like I've known him for over 30 years. Like him and I are. We played cards. Awesome. Like him and I, and he's always been better than me. Always been better than me. And I would argue that he's probably better than me at Gwent. I just play a lot more than he does. So, all right. So that said, we used to play a game called Star Wars. We talk about it all the time, but there is an archetype. So in Star Wars, there are two factions. There's light side and dark side, and they have to face off against each other. And dark side was more like, like was very Nilfgaardian in the sense of lots of manipulation, lots of I'm gonna mess with your stuff, and light side relied more on what was called mains and toys, which was you play all the main characters and you play all their weapons and you just beat the crap out of your opponent where you can.
Okay.
And what Chris said is like, Christo said that Northern Realms is like a mains and toys deck in the sense it's like, all right, slam in all your big boy cards, your Refards, your Duelers, and like that's what it is. It's just like play some really good stuff, and just hope that you can get through it, and and pick and choose your times to really punish your opponent. It's not a very get the ball rolling and get to your destination kind of faction. So I think that's fine, but like it never really felt like an identity.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of now that you put it that way, kind of makes sense. Like it has some cool, unique tools, but I also feel like some cards in the faction itself are just auto include for their power level, and sometimes they don't really need to fit like a specific shell. They're just auto include because they're good, and that's it, right? So
Yeah,
I kind of get that.
that's fine. It's just it seems like there's always a situation where like every year Northern Realm gets thrown in the laundry machine and you're like, all right, let's like iron out the wrinkles and maybe it looks better now, but
Yeah,
listen, it's difficult. It is absolutely difficult. And this is
it is
why
hard.
everyone's always like, will there be a seventh faction? No, God, no. It took Hearthstone like 8 years to introduce the Demon
I
Hunter.
mean, it's super difficult to introduce like another faction to the whole thing because like if you look at the ones that we have, like they themselves need still at this point a lot of balancing and a lot of like coming back to cards which are less utilized within a faction, like ironing out all the like identities, all the archetypes that you can play within the faction. So I feel like there's still a lot that can be done on that side. And trying to introduce something fresh, of course, is fun because people like the initial release and injection of something new into the game. If it's like new cards, that's fine. If it's another faction, that's also nice because it's new, fresh toys to play with. We all like new things, but you also need to bear in mind that it's much better to also go back and try to fix things up and kind of I've really enjoyed personally. I'm not saying this because I'm part of the Gwent team and I'm working on the game with them. I mean, I don't work on the balance, but what I've really appreciated is us going back to cards which arts were used once and they were not used, and then we brought them back with a new ability. Like having these 12 card packs kind of showed that you can rework cards and you can make them interesting, you can make them fun, you can add like a new aspect to them without taking and adding like a new art, a new whole campaign around it and building stuff and all that. Like, you don't need that, right? You can go back to the drawing board and redo everything and make it nice.
I love that. It's like it's like when you go to a restaurant, you order soup and you ask for like crushed pepper, and they're like, "We don't have it." He's like, this deli sucks.
Ain't coming back here no more.
No more. Hey, so if for those who are paying attention, the voice of Dandelion sounds familiar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, his taunts are his taunts, so the ones that he's known throughout Gwent for. But for his grunts and his laughs and the funny ha 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 ha, yes, I had the opportunity to. I was actually approached by one of the audio designers that also worked on worked with us on the esports circuit for last season, and he came to me saying like, by the way, wouldn't you like to do some funny like grunts for Dandelion? I was like, what? Really? I'm down. Like, sign me up. They're like, because you have a high pitched voice, and Dandelion also is high pitched, so you would work. Like, of course, they would not. Like, I could not do like Dijkstra or someone, or like Deadlaugh, someone like has this dark voice. And
that's where
like
merchant
mysterious.
That's a merchant voice. Yeah,
it's more of a merchant voice, so like a mysterious character, stuff like that. So that would not work for me. So yeah, and I got to go into the studio a couple weeks back and record. It's really funny because you stand in front of a microphone and you make a fool out of yourself. You're pretty much seeing the animation for the character.
That's my whole career.
Yeah, we're both good at that.
Yes.
So signed me up and they were like, yeah, you can pretty much act a fool and it will be fine. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, you got me down because I previously did him for Pavko, but Pavko's like he's very like, oh, yo, no, I have this bow, I'm gonna shoot you. It's raining and welcome to the dark side. And I'm grumpy and unhappy. While Dandelion is kind of like he has this flair to him where you can see he's making like funny like sounds within when you're playing the game. He's making some like playing with his voice. And he also he has this like feeling of like grandeur. He's like, I am here. I am the great bard. I am here on this battlefield. So when he's winning, he's showing it. When he's losing, he's kind of like, oh, you know, a little bit afraid, but it's gonna be fine. I got this. So it was funny to act out those voices. And yeah, I think someone picked it up very, very quickly. I saw on my Twitter, I was like, wait, that voice sounds familiar. Was it you? And I was like, oh yeah, actually it was. So,
it may have been Tia or Lion, one of the two. I think it was Tia who mentioned it's like, oh, by the way, some of these voice lines are Pavel Burza. So I was like,
I did a stream actually, and I mentioned it on that stream, and I think she was on that stream since the early beginning, and then she tweeted it out. But I think someone before her, like I think one of the community members, I think his name is like Michael Loda.
Yeah,
at least that's his. Yeah, so he's like on every Gwent related stuff. You will see the guy. He's from Poland actually. I remember like sending him some Gwent swag. I think it was last year even.
He's a nice dude. He's very interactive and stuff like that.
Yeah, super excited about everything.
Yeah.
And I think he was one of the first ones to quote. At least that was the first kind of like Twitter response I got saying like, "Whoa, those look familiar. Is it actually our community manager?" I was like, this guy nailed it on the head. So right I was away. Like, since it's out, I can talk about it easily. Because before I was gonna make this enigmatic post saying like, by the way, New Journey, Dandelion, I had something to do with this. Whoever guesses will get like something, but they already guessed it before we made it a thing out of it. So I'm off the hook now. Although Michael might come to me like, hey, Burza, by the way, where's my swag? Where's my good stuff?
Yeah, you said it. Remember before you said it's been said on the podcast, so it's now gospel. Yeah. It's like right there.
Exactly.
It's law. I'm going to petition for a taunt on Dandelion where, you know, like sometimes what I've noticed is that when you select Jackpot as your deck and you go to like the play thing, you know, like there's usually like a little sound associated to like the deck leader or ability that you select. Every like third or fourth time that you select Jackpot, it actually sounds like a casino, like a slot machine. Yeah, which is, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like every third or fourth time you go to that screen where Jackpot's your deck, it makes that noise. I want something where like every 10th time you do a taunt with Dandelion, it's you saying bye. Like I think, like if you like the well played, I think that would like you should be like well played, bye. Like I think that would be really good, and that needs to be done. I think that absolutely.
Yeah, players were actually saying that would be nice if we just had like the standard hi, bye, or you know like the greetings and the see ya, I'm out of here thing. So the bye could be like a thing.
Oh, I'm all for it. And speaking of goodbyes, we have a legend within the community, a legend within the esports community by the name of, I believe it's Damian Kashmierak.
Kashmierczak.
Damian
Kashmierczak, aka Tailbot, aka Tobliat, aka Tail God, and the many names that he's been called throughout 4 or 5 years that he's been in
Tailpipes
the circuit.
I call him Tailpipes.
Yes, Tailpipes also.
Yeah. He has announced that he is retired, and there was some speculation of how this sort of is a barometer for the health of the game. In reality, what people need to understand is that Tailbot's been there since the beginning. Tailbot has been. I mean, Tailbot was there when he was like skinny and scrawny, not like gigantic. Somebody who can bench press a Volvo. Like that's where he is now, but that's not where he started off. Tailbot has been basically riding the wave of competitive Gwent for like 4 or 5 years and has been relevant for 4 or 5 years. That's a long time to be grinding hundreds and hundreds and thousands of games a year to continue to go. So a retirement in that regard, it's like saying, okay, well, Tom Brady retired. Does that mean the NFL is on the decline? No, absolutely
It's
not.
over. It's
Yeah.
dying. There's no more NFL now. No, but I always enjoy like the posts, like whenever you see a pro from any esports scene walking away, people instantly go to this like it's either, it's like polar opposites. No one ever says like, oh, good. He even said in the post like he enjoyed his time. It's not about the game. It's about the fact that he wants to move on and pursue different things in his life. Like he doesn't want to be only known for playing card games, and like it's not his like end goal when it comes to what he wants to do in life. But everybody's like, no, no, oh my God, Gwent is dying. Oh my God, one of the best esports pros is leaving. How can this actually happen? It's like, oh my God, see, this is proof. And I think just people like the aspect of having some drama in their life. That's why we still get press who always like, dramatic news, groundbreaking news, like this happened, that happened. And sometimes when you take it into perspective, you're like, okay, it happened. So it doesn't change anything, right? So why make such a big deal out of it?
These are the people who, if you go to imagine like you go to the doctor and you're like, yeah, doctor, like, I stubbed my toe and it still hurts like 2 or 3 weeks later. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're dead. Can I have your stereo in your car because you're dead tomorrow? Like, no, like let's just relax. But we need to sort of rewind here and just understand the fact that, again, he has been not just playing the game, but at the highest level and at all the tournaments, like all the freaking tournaments for years. It's exceptionally draining mentally, physically, the whole deal. And yeah, he wants to start, like he's not 18 years old, but he's also not, in his like 30s or 40s or whatever. Like he's in a prime age where you want to basically go out there, explore and try new things because you've already essentially conquered. Like there's nobody out there right now who's going to argue and say that Tailbot is not like one of the top 5 players of all time.
Exactly.
So what else can you possibly do? You've already reached LeBron James status, and people say, well, Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. Yeah, but both of those are still like top tier of the best, they're like, those arguments will always occur. Those debates will always occur, but it doesn't mean that, it degrades anything what he's done. Like the guy wants to go out and do things, and I don't know what those things are, and I wish him well. And I'm so what upsets me most, not just because I have to retire this amazing shirt. Look at this thing. Look at this shirt. I have to retire the shirt. It's going to go in the closet. I might actually, I want to see if I can if ever we're back in Warsaw, I want to bump into him. I want him to sign it, and I want to like raffle it off for charity or do something like that. I think that would be cool, but
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be nice. But what really the main detriment, I think, is that his personality was what I freaking just crave to see at all tournaments, was somebody who really not just took the spotlight, but like there's elements of his personality that bled into his interviews, but he was playing a character to a degree, because I've hung out with him many times and he's not an arrogant, self-centered kind of that conceited person. That's not what it is. He's playing a character, but the confidence bleeds in, and he's a very confident individual. But that kind of character it's lacking amidst so many of the other people. And I get it. Not everyone is going to have that kind of flair for the dramatic of really milking that spotlight. But he was somebody who, when he was in a tournament, I was so thrilled, because you knew that you were going to get substance out of him. You knew that he was going to play into it.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned it, because when he announced it on Twitter, and he has been kind of also like one of the pillars when it comes to like the Polish community, and I'm fully aware of like what the Polish community is doing, and like what are the top streamers and what are the things they're interested in. They actually have a Facebook group, which kind of started before that as a Polish only Discord server, which I was like since the early beginnings part of. So from that we move on to like this Facebook group, and there were like people commenting that Well, sucks because I was rooting for him, although it's good because he was like bad mouthing all the other players. Or like, and I normally don't comment on stuff like that. I went to the comment section, which I think people commenting on Facebook are normally like. I try to steer away from those. It's like if you go to any like news related website and you see the comments there from people, you're like, are these actually people? Are these trolls, or are they actually people that I can meet on the street? Because if they are, then we're living in a very, very bad age and bad time.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So I just commented, this is like his persona. Like this is not him in real life. I'm like, I can tell you right now, like when I was talking to him, he was polite, he was humble. He's not very like super outspoken. I can actually say that I felt like he's a little bit shy even, but he puts on this persona just for the esports part, just to kind of show that he's creating this character for himself, which I really like because it brings a lot of substance to the whole like esports circuit. Because if you see Tailbot, you're expecting him to say something about his opponent, which is which is not good. I still remember, like I was laughing my pants off when he did the interview and he was facing against Pro Neo. He's like, after this one, you'll be called Noob Neo. And I was like, oh my God, this is so good.
Yeah.
And like he did so many things in a similar fashion. Like, there was one was like Gwent, gym and girls and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
Gwent,
like
gym, girls.
Yes. So I guess that was kind of like, his most supportive mottos in life and stuff. But, he like hung out with us after the esports events, was always available to talk, to answer questions. Very chill, very, very nice person. So I explained to those people that, it's a persona. And I think they're like, oh, really? So he's not like that in real life. I'm like, no, he's playing. Oh, really? Oh, well, but still, don't worry, Burza. Whenever he was playing, I was rooting for him because, Poland, strong, go Poland.
Oh, it's like, I think there was one where he's in, like, the question was something like, oh, how does it feel to play against, like, life coach, or it was like a big name, and he's like, who the hell is that?
Oh,
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, yes. I'm like, yeah. Like the game needs more like heroes and villains to that degree. Now villains, I get it. Like there's gonna be people, but in the same regard, again, I always just harp back on how entertaining. Why do we watch wrestling when we know that it's like fake and scripted or whatever? It's like because there's characters that people are playing, but those characters,
personality.
like, do you actually think the Undertaker is dead and came raised from the dead? Like, and no, but we get it. We like the character and like they play a character.
Yeah, same goes for like us watching, I don't know, movies or any type of TV shows. You watch them because you appreciate some actors that, they have such a wide like plethora of abilities that they can play from, the cool guy, from across the street, or in a romantic comedy to go into playing like a psychopath or someone who has, who can be, the villain, but can also be the good guy and can do like anything. So you enjoy that as a viewer. So you should be also like expecting when you have esports, it's good to see like the player's personality come out. And it can be personality in which you have people like, Tailbot, who was kind of, in your face, something edgy always was said. And for us, like creating videos for that is awesome because most of the like CCG players, they are either quiet, shy, they're super smart, they're super awesome to talk to. It's hard to get like emotions from them in front of a camera. And it's also like, and I think he kind of showed a little bit of emotion, but he was also calm, calculated. But when it came to like interviews, he was like, in your face, I'm gonna destroy you, right? And he was like, it's gonna happen. So you like that as a viewer, you like that, that you have things to choose from in terms of the people that you'll be rooting for, even if it's like based off of like their background, who they are. Like if they're a streamer, you might enjoy their streams if they do something a part of that. If they're happy all the time, if they're sad, if I don't know, if you cannot read anything from them. I mean, you have like Colomon. Like, can you read Colomon? He's like a gentle giant who's always like pretty much talking in a very, very chill manner. You don't see like I see him smile like a couple times only. So I mean, they're all different, and they bring something more to the whole like esport experience when you're watching, right?
Yeah, like Colomon's like the New York Yankees. Like it's just like perennially good. Very, very clean cut, quiet, get the job done. Celebrate when we win. Everything, anything other than first place is a failure. So, but for Tailbot,
Machine.
the machine, like he's like
Yeah.
he's like the Terminator, man. Like he's just. But then you have people like I call him the Iceman. I forgot what his name is. Sif Great Wolf, I think it is. Who's just
Yes. Yes.
like you'd think it's a static image of the person, but it's a live webcam, and he's like it's posing for a passport photo the entire time. And but like there's these kinds of characters, and like they're great, and some of them play into it, some of them don't, and I get it, but it's partially because I have the sick fantasy that in my mind it's like everything should be like a gigantic awesome spectacle of people and narratives and whatever. But that's just exciting to me, and I get it. You're right. Tailbot is privately, humble and very kind and very, he's not the same character. And what I love about him is that when we're at these events in Warsaw and he's there and like on the nights off where we're like playing board games, he won't say much, but everything he says is a like 10 on 10 hilarious, witty remark. And I'm just like, this guy's awesome. Like when I first met him, I was like, this guy's freaking awesome. I want to be his friend. And I was like, I'm just gonna be his friend, whether he likes it or not. Too bad. Like I was the Dandelion to his to his Geralt.
To his Geralt.
One last thing I want to say about him, because I love him very much, is when I was in the hospital, he tweeted out a photo of me wearing this shirt, but it wasn't me wearing the shirt. It was him wearing a shirt of me wearing the shirt. So it was like this like Inception thing. And that really meant a lot to me because he didn't have to do that. He got the shirt made and then tweeted a photo and like wished me well and gave me strength and whatever. And that was enormous for me because this is somebody whom I respect as a person and as a player, but ultimately as a friend, like that really meant a lot to me. Yeah. So that is my personal little gem that I'm going to take from the Tailbot experience that we had for several years. But honestly, it's hard to say that the game, the competitive landscape is wounded by this because he was a superstar, a Hall of Famer, if there was ever a Hall of Fame.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. In the Gwent Hall of Fame, there's always room for Tailbot, and fully deserved. And also, since you mentioned that, I think it also shows the community that we have in Gwent, that where you guys knew each other from the esports circuit, but not also from that bit because you both have been streaming the game. He also went into streaming for some short amount of time, while remaining competitive and playing on a super high level, and that itself, like the commitment to that is a lot, and also add streaming to that, there was a lot going on. But more and more, he was part of the community. He joined a couple like Gwent teams and stuff like that. So yeah, it just shows that everybody kind of is taking this in a way like, oh, he will be missed, but he did a lot of awesome stuff for Gwent. He did a lot of awesome stuff for the community, and it feels like he will remain part of the family. Like moving on, it's like we talked about Merchant in the beginning. Like he might not be part of Gwent right now, but still, like when we think about him and what he brought to the table, like he will be always part of Gwent's history and a part of this community. So if he ever decides to, I don't know, come back or whatever, same goes for Tailbot or anyone else, like everybody will welcome him back with open hands. And they'll be like, remember this guy? Well, this guy was the best, right?
Absolutely. All right. That's time for one of our favorite segments here on the show. It's called the Shinmiri
We can't lose. Oh, fuck.
Prediction of the week. Now, last week's prediction, I don't even remember because I think there were.
Me neither.
All I can say.
We should look at and note those down.
I know we definitely should, because I'm gonna write it down right now as we do this, because it didn't happen, because I think I would have known if it happened, or I would have caught on to it. But I do have a Shinmiri prediction of the week, and it actually ties into this. And I think that there's going to be somebody out there, and I hope that this doesn't actually influence someone doing it, but somebody out there is going to argue, or there's going to be some sort of, not movement necessarily, but someone's going to try to make a push to say that Tailbot is actually not a great player ultimately, when in reality, now if you go to my now completely festering and stagnant YouTube channel, which I don't really do anything on, but I did used to do top 5 videos Gwent related, and one of them that I did was top 5 cash earners in competitive Gwent, and Tailbot was up there. Tailbot was absolutely up there. I think he was like number 3 or something like that, or number 2. Number 1 was Colomone, because he just dominates for so long. But
Terminator.
Somebody's going to argue that Tailbot wasn't that great of a player, despite the fact that he was. I think that is going to be my Shinmiri we can't lose prediction of the week.
Well, my prediction for sure is that we're going to see another Meta Breaker deck. We're going to see like a ton of Meta Breaker decks, 100% win ratio, because it's new meta time. It's new meta time. We will get that stuff, and there probably, I don't know if there will be some. For sure, there'll be a little bit of complaining about, there could be maybe a little bit more changes done here, or maybe a little bit more there. What's CDPR thinking, and but that's the standard issue stuff.
I don't think there's nothing out there that rattles my cage more than people with their labeling decks as meta breakers. Or okay, here's a little hint for the entire community. If there is a YouTube video and the title of the YouTube video on the thumbnail is a question, like, is this the greatest deck ever? Question mark. The answer is no. I'm not here to mislead or discourage people from being creative, but Bush League clickbait garbage like that, friends, don't fall for it. If the video is posing a question, the answer is probably not what you think it is. It's probably gonna be, no, it's not. It's just a good deck right now, today. Yeah, but it went 10-0. Yeah, and tomorrow it's gonna suck, friends. Like,
exactly.
Exactly. That this is something that I really, and the worst offender that is climbing my crappy power rankings of Bush Leagueitis is calling a deck a meta breaker, especially when the things have changed.
There's no meta.
What the hell are you thinking about? Like, what meta are you breaking? And don't do that. And the other thing is don't say that your deck has 100% win rate when it went from rank 12 to 11 and went like 4-0. Like, nobody's impressed. That's not
unbelievable. But clickbait is the way to go. It's a way to go on YouTube. It's a way to go when you get ads like, oh my God, this person figured out the best solution for best looking skin. Find out more, click here. And people are like, oh my God, I've been suffering from acne and stuff like that. I need to click that. And you click that, and then it's spam. So pretty much it's just clickbait and spam. And sometimes I hate these clickbait titles, and then you watch the video, it's like, well, I didn't learn anything more. I can tell you there's like a shit ton of those for cycling, running, like best running shoes, ? And then you watch the video. I mean, and then the opinion is like, well, they compare to everything else. They're not faster than this. So it's like, you just lost 15 minutes of a person talking about shoes or to some specific bike part or something like that. While it's like pretty much the answer like going into the video in the beginning. You know
who's gonna hate us for this is Marktheus, because Marktheus is gonna, like, when he produces the show, he listens to it the whole way through, and he's always like, you have to understand that there's an algorithm. There's he's the brains behind it. Like, he's gone and had like intelligent conversations with people who have broken down the algorithm, the YouTube, and all this in order to sort of, to maximize your exposure and whatever. He knows all this stuff. And part of it is like flashy gripping hooks like those. Exactly. So he's going to be like, we're still doing it. So there's a good chance that this thumbnail for this video is going to be exactly what I'm saying is, but it's necessary. But I get it.
Also reminds me that I need to send you like more photos of me, because the thing about YouTube thumbnails, like you need to have like people, like, you know, there's like,
you have to have specie face.
This is like amazing stuff. Like you see emotions from the picture. But yeah, like you said, I mean, there are algorithms for everything. Same goes for like Instagram and all the hashtags, like hashtag cute boy, hashtag fitness, hashtag like whatever. And a million hashtags that don't even like, sometimes people just add hashtags because they're the most popular ones, or they add the most popular tags even if they don't really like have anything to do with the video because they're currently trending.
And we're gonna have hashtag Kanye on this one.
Just to get on the bandwagon, right?
Boy, I will give credit to Speci, because I did used to completely rake him over the coals about this kind of stuff, because he used to have like this face on all of his thumbnails where it looked like he just saw a dog land a plane. Like that's like the level of like when in reality it's like, no, you played Roach twice. Like that's not the same thing. You know, it's not the craziest.
But yeah, I mean, that brings your attention. I mean, if you see the same type of thumbnail with the same type of image all the time, you're more likely to go towards that. Like even when we were doing Twig back in the day, when we did it in the studio, we played around with some possibilities of upgrading the thumbnails with me doing stupid faces on them, because we knew that once we do that, they're more clickable, because people want to find out like, what's this guy laughing about? It's like, why is he making this stupid face? Like, what's inside the video? And it gets your curiosity, and people are, you know, we're creatures of kind of like, we need to like understand like what's going on there. So they're more incentivized to click on that, and that's how marketing works, right?
It does, and I'm not smart enough to understand it. I just know that if you use the term meta breaker on something, I immediately like I'll unfollow you and not click on it. But yeah, you could probably tell now that Mark is going to be like, oh, we're going to make the dumbest, most ugly face thumbnail for this video, and I'm all for it. All right. It's that time, friends. So bust out the reheated bigos, because it's time for the Babcia Marysia Polish word of the week. And this time, again, supplied by my mother. My grandmother,
Ooh.
my babcia has long since passed. She's been passed away for many, many years. So it's all from memory and these fond memories I have. But I usually dive into my mother's memories, and she sends me some words now and then. And this one was, oh, Holinder. Oh, Holinder. So I need some explanation for Holinder. Now, again, it's a little context here. It was let's see, some context would be, okay, it's Christmas. Christmas Eve, which is I think usually when Polish celebrate Christmas Eve. My grandmother is cooking up a storm. You got the pierogi, the fish, the this, that, whatever. The family's showing up, and every family member that comes in is bringing more food, and she sees it, and she's like, "There's no room on the table." She's, oh, Holinder, oh my, and like that's a little bit of the context.
Yeah. So I would like. Holinder is like, even it's like, because when we there was this like sickness back in the day called like cholera, right?
Okay.
So cholera, when you say cholera in Polish, you're like, oh crap. It's like pretty much to that thing. And when you can tone it down and say oh Holender, which is like, it's very, it's not, because Hollandse are also people from the Netherlands, so it's like Hollander, which I don't know why, but we just say oh Hollander. It's like oh snap. So it's like, you know, from oh shit to oh snap almost. And then from that, Holinder is making it like, you know, trying to make it even less like, so it's not, so you feel like Cholera or Hollander might be a little bit like there's too much force and pressure on it. So you try to make it even more bland so you can turn it to Holinder in this case. So that's like making it like very, very subtle. Like that's what a grandma would say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. All right. Delicious. Thank you so much for that, friends. That does it for the main segment. We do have the mailbag, and still no sponsors. Can you believe this? Us, of all people, not getting any kind of spot, not even a G Fuel shout out or any of that nonsense. Like,
What?
Can
Still nothing?
No, and we've been liking and subscribing to all this, but you still can't even use like Flurza 5 to go get 5% off a giant tub of like chemical Gatorade or whatever the hell G Fuel is. We're never getting a G Fuel sponsorship. I don't know what G Fuel is, but I know that a lot of people have it like on their streams and stuff, and I'm just like, what? Like, it's just, what is it? It's like, it's cool.
I still do a lot of sports. So if you're a sports company and you're wondering like, is this the way to go? Like, I do a lot of cycling, running, marathons on a yearly basis. So I mean, hit us up. Like, we're happy to collaborate. Like, what about the restaurant thing? Did you get on that or no?
Blue Jeans. So
yes.
I have not reached out yet because my aunt, which who is most in touch with that person, with my cousin, is on vacation, so I don't want to bother, but I think that I'm gonna look it up. I'm at least gonna get the address. So we are like some sort of, I should reach out, and I should say, like, give us like a 30-second ad, and we'll throw it on here, because it's a nice little break apart. Plus, it's all part of the family. If you're in Poland, go check out Blue Jeans. I don't know where it is. I don't even know if it's called Blue Jeans. I have a PDF of a menu, so that's all I got.
Nice. Just let them know that Flake and Burza sent you, and maybe something will come out of it. Remember, like, who the hell is that?
Just say Mateusz from Montreal, even though I don't live there anymore.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mateusz from Montreal.
You know Mateusz from Montreal? Yeah, it's like, easy. Free plate of poutine or something, Polish poutine. All right.
Fun fact. Wait. Fun fact. I had a cheese Danish yesterday, and I was thinking about you while eating it.
That's what we got to do. Is just you and I. When I finally go back there, we're just gonna go on like a pastry tour. It's gonna be and we'll document it. I think that's good. We should do like
for the pastry.
Oh, there should be like a special like onlook, like a Flake and Burza go like on a pastry excursion, and we just go to different little bakeries, and we critique like their it's happening.
Dude, I have a lot of good gems in Warsaw when it comes to good bakeries, so yeah, we could totally do that.
All right, so the sponsor that we need now is like an airline company.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that does it for the first segment. We'll be right back with the mailbag. Hang tight.
All right, we are back with the mailbag, and first question of the day is from Phantom Mag. You might know this person from the Gwent community and also from all the streams. Awesome, very wholesome person. Question for today that was sent over through Reddit is: Hello, Flake and Burza, aka Burka. Flurza, Burka, I don't know, works. My question is, what's your biggest fear? You start.
That's a well, I mean,
tough one.
Yeah, there's two main ones. The first one is heights. I get paralyzed by heights. Flying around, even though I worked for an airline for many years, that took some time to actually get over. Planes now I'm okay with, because I got an education on planes in terms of like, this is what it can actually withstand. And I was like, okay, that makes me feel a lot better. Like, basically, it's like it's scientifically meant to stay in the air. I was like, okay, that makes sense. In terms of fears, like heights for me is a huge one. And I remember because I was the quote unquote best man at the wedding of Alias V and her husband here in Toronto. There was only two people there at the wedding, and after they got married in this like little tiny sort of like ceremony, we went to the CN Tower, which is like the highest point, one of the highest structures in North America, and we went to the top, and holy Moses, was I crapping my pants though. But it was their wedding, and I was like, I can't say no, like, we're going. Also, going to the Grand Canyon was one hell of an excursion, because there's no railings at the Grand Canyon. There's nothing. It's just okay. And the amount of idiots I saw at the edge with their like selfie sticks like this, I was like, I could not get within probably 20 yards of the edge. And eventually there was a special area that you can go through where you had to like walk past like these very narrow areas where you can go and then climb up a little bit of a hill to get like a little bit. It must have been like maybe 30 or 40 yards higher than everything else, but you can stand on top of it and see everything. But to get there, you have to go through these, which to me looked like they were 2 inches wide, but in reality, they're like 10 feet wide. But you have to walk through them. And I was like, on either side of you is imminent death. And it took at least an hour for me to be able to approach the edge. So heights is a big one. The other one that worries me, that I use it more so as motivation, is that I worry that my impact on the people that I know will be forgotten after I'm gone. And I know this is a little bit more of like a mental or existential thing, but like I always fear that after I'm gone, or if I'm away, or if I'm gone, I am just forgotten and I have no impact on the lives of other people. And that to me, it worries me, because I don't plan on having kids, and usually that's the legacy a lot of people will leave, is their children and what they teach. But I don't have that. So for me, I worry that after things, I don't just want to retire on a couch, watch TV, and then I have not influenced anyone else positively, or I have not. That to me is a big fear, that I have not left a positive influence after I'm gone.
That must put a lot of pressure on you, though. Like, you're kind of putting pressure on yourself in order to deliver a lot of things or do a lot of things, just to kind of
it does
something behind.
It does, and
right?
that's partially why I was streaming so much, or forcing myself to stream so much, was because part of it was, if I'm not streaming, I'm irrelevant. But I know I'm not irrelevant, and I've paid my dues, and I've worked hard, and I continue to work hard to be, but I've come to terms with that, and I knew the damage that streaming was doing to my mental health. So I got rid of it, and I feel so much better now. And will I ever go back to streaming? That's completely possible. But to me, I would get up and I would put myself in front of the camera for 4 hours, because I figured if I'm not streaming, no one's going to remember me and no one's going to care. But I understand that that's an irrational fear, and you can have impacts, but that was part of it.
I think the thought itself of and the pressure that you're putting on yourself with that is like the biggest driving factor of how you're feeling. Because if you wake up, like I've noticed this also, but from a different perspective. Like when I was starting to like train a lot, when it came to like running, cycling, and stuff like that, I would put a lot of pressure on myself when it comes to like waking up super early, like getting things done, and getting like into a routine, where I would get into days where I woke up and I was kind of like, oh, I'm not feeling it. And I kind of stopped putting that pressure on myself. Is like, if you wake up and you don't feel like it might come to you midday, end of day, and you will still do it. But if you put the pressure on yourself that you need to do it now, you need to like wake up, sit, stream for 4 hours, like you were saying in your case, that kind of itself is like tearing you down, because you feel like you're attaching this like, this anchor to yourself that is just pulling and pulling and pulling you down. But if you do it, and I kind of get it, because streaming kind of, you are obliged kind of to the people who are watching you, and to your community, and to yourself, and you're building that, then you're forced to do it. But if you do it like, you might wake up one day, or you might be, I don't know, sitting around, you're like, oh, I'm bored, maybe I'll just stream for a couple hours. That's healthy, that's cool, and it occupies you in a good way, and that's kind of the way to go, instead of just like forcing yourself in order to, oh, I have to do it. But I think like looking at the amount of stuff that you already did, and the amount of like communities that you're part of, and all the stuff that you're doing as like a persona who is out there, in the media space, let's say, and on Twitter, you are an influencer. So you are leaving a lot of stuff behind, which is like that people will know you for. So I don't think, because I think we also like get into this mindset like, okay, I want to, do a lot of things, leave something behind, while we ourselves are like unique people in some way. And whatever we do, whatever we create, whatever we do on a daily basis, the jobs that we have, we always kind of leave something behind, right? It's not that, we're just existing and not doing anything. But I also get like when you get old and when you don't want to be the person that's, you know, sitting in front of the TV saying like, shit, I didn't do much with my life, right?
I didn't do anything. What the hell did I do? You know, like at the end of the day, it's one of those things where that was a significant fear and concern of mine for a long time, which was I wasn't even sure. You know, when season 3 of Gwent Masters rolled around, if I would have been brought back. And like, sometimes I don't, well, I mean, I don't say it's an irrational fear.
Don't sell yourself short.
No,
I mean, come on, man.
but these are some of the concerns that you have where it's like, okay, you know, I mean, like I'm not a, like what a lot of people don't understand is like, I'm not a CDPR employee. I'm an independent contracted broadcaster that whenever there's a tournament, it's tournament to tournament that I am hired. I'm not on a roster. I'm not on a payroll. That's not how it works. So there's never a guarantee that I'll be back because I could go out there at Gwent Open 1 season 4, make a fool of myself, and Vlad might say, you know what, it's not working out. We're gonna go a different route. And
if Vlad ever told them, I'll be like, no, if you're cutting my buddy Flake, I'm out. I'll quit.
That's the loyalty I want to see. You take me and him, and you can throw us both out. And then it's gonna be you and I outside working at a pastry shop because Vlad will be like 2 birds, 1 stone.
Dude,
that's efficiency.
Dude, we just hired Dominika for making pastries. Like she's the bomb at those. So yeah, shout outs to her, my wife. She's gonna make the pastries. We're gonna just fool around and play cards, and we're gonna do card game shop and pastries in one.
Best place ever. Or we can do like a food truck and like drive around the Flurza food truck, and we just go around and it's like pierogi, bigos, pastries, gołąbki, everything.
Gołąbki, all you can eat.
Oh boy. So
one deal.
That's your biggest fear is
my biggest fear is heights, like you. Super afraid of heights. Put me in any high building where I need to walk close to an edge and look down. I'm out. Like Grand Canyon, I've been there as a kid. As a kid, I don't think I developed it that much because I wasn't super afraid of heights. But even now, when I got older, like going up a ladder, just too many steps up, freaked out. Like my legs start shaking and stuff like that. Although I know I'm super stable, like this ladder is stable as hell, and it's something that I've been trying to kind of, you know, like get through and conquer. But it's difficult. It's weird because it's something that you can't really control in any way, right?
Well, no, it's ingrained in you. When I moved here to Toronto, the first place building I moved into, I was on the top floor, and it took me a few months before I went on my balcony. And the balcony overlooked, like I could see like Lake Ontario, which is like a massive lake. It's like an ocean practically. So you have a beautiful view. There are certain places where I cannot be close to that kind of edge. As safe as it is, it's just not for me. So our pastry shop will be on the ground floor. That's basically
exactly. And one thing that I've been kind of afraid is like, if I ever become like super old, will I still be able to like ride my bike at least as an old person to, you know, go from point A to B? Because I wouldn't want to lose that part. I mean, running, of course, is taxing on the body and stuff like that, but it would be nice to ride my bike as long as possible, at least till, you know, I'm out and I punch the ticket and I'm out of this world. Like I've never been afraid of like death and stuff like that. So those are not like big fears, but heights and not being able to ride my bike in the future are things that I'm afraid. And also I'm always kind of afraid for like, you know, family members and stuff like that. So that everybody's okay. You know, if someone gets, you know, sick, then, you know, it's something that is kind of that as a person, I feel like I get through it. I might not even show the emotions. It might be like bottled up inside, but it is something that is there.
So yeah, that's a good one. We'll hold hands when we're going up the stairs.
Exactly.
All right. This next one is from at Serene Shireen on Twitter, asking, very excited for 10.2. Lots of fun changes in the patch notes. Yeehaw. Do you have a favorite card interaction, either current or past Gwent? Maybe a combo you love to pull off, or the perfect answer to your opponent's win condition? I have an answer for this, but you can go first.
For me, it's just Scorch. Pulling the perfect Scorch. something that always felt satisfying. I wish I mean, the restrictions that are now on Scorch. I was playing yesterday with a deck that had Scorch in it, like a control Squirtle deck. I don't really like the restrictions now on Scorch. I would like Scorch to do whatever it wants and destroy just the highest unit, doesn't matter, or the highest units, without any like, you cannot if you did an order or something like that. So I'm not a big fan of that. But yeah, I think that's one thing. And I always like cards which tutor other cards, and it doesn't matter which faction they are from. I just love the effect of tutoring for stuff. So that's those are my two things.
I love it. Fascinating thing. I was actually chatting with some people. I have a big Flesh and Blood tournament this weekend, so I was like practicing with a lot of like really good players, and we're just discussing. And a lot of them are like ex-Magic pros, and we were discussing tutoring, and because there was a new card that was printed that tutors a card, and I was just mentioning, I'm like, oh, how much of this is like legit lexicon in card games now, such as the word tutor or mill or stuff like that, because a lot of these originate from Magic terms, right? Like
yes,
mill is from millstone, tutor is from demonic tutor,
Exactly.
and it's cool because we're discussing myself and a gentleman named Tan and Grace, who's also a caster. We're discussing like what's fine to say at a Flesh and Blood tournament, even though it's a Magic term. And I said I think we're discussing like tutor, mill, things like that, and we're like, no, I think these are just. They've just been adopted.
CCG, right?
Terminology.
Like CCG terminology that's been kind of assimilated into the language when you're talking about any type of card game. Like the effect itself is a tutor effect. Like the effect of milling your opponent's deck will be mill on any card game that you play, because card games like they borrow, like they copy each other's notes.
Basically, you gotta go back to the source material, which for a lot of people was Magic. One of my favorite interactions. I mean, there's so many that I can think about, but one of the clutch ones that I was very proud of for a while, that I think a couple people might have adopted for a bit. But when hyper thin Colgrim was very, very prevalent, like Clog and whatever. One of the cards that I teched into my Scoia'tael deck was Incinerating Trap, and it was like a 5 provision card, and people are like, well, they're going to put the defender down, and how do you deal with it if you don't have, not Igni, but like if you don't have a Geralt like Irden or Igni, like how do you kill the Colgrim? And then they're gonna basically play Letho, so they're gonna put him on 2 rows, so you can't even punish both rows. And I was like, easy, you just play Incinerating Trap, because you know when they're playing Colgrim, you just drop an Incinerating Trap, and then it kills the Colgrim. It's 5 provisions. It could be behind 19 defenders if it wants to. It's still gonna die. And I would do that in a Scoia'tael list, because usually I would just get outpointed by the Colgrim into Letho, and it's all good. But I'm like, all right, just put an Incinerating Trap, and they're screwed. In the same vein as some people would counter it by playing a non-crate Longship to kill the Colgrim. The thing about it is that on-crate Longship for some is people would try to wait to kill it if you're playing it. But I was playing Scoia'tael. Like, how do you do it? You don't have a Longship, so you play an Incinerating Trap. So that was one of the things that I was very proud of, was for that period of 2 or 3 days, I was punishing a lot of Colgrim players, because I would just drop a 5 provision trap as when they had 2 cards in hand, and I was like, all right, like, enjoy. It's like
and you made a video saying that you figured out the meta, and this is the one card that will change how you play.
Exactly.
It will defeat any Colgrim deck 100% win rate.
My face was just this giant O face, like it looked like people were gonna throw hot dogs in my mouth, like it was a whole thing. That's my favorite interaction for sure.
Nice, awesome. Next question then, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
By GL260 on Reddit. 3 questions. I'll read out all of them so we can kind of maybe try to put this. No, actually, we'll go one by one. What are some forgotten archetypes from the different factions are you hoping to see CDPR come back to and bring new life to?
I discussed this with Shinmiri on the show. This is a very, very common question. First of all, I will once again put out the flyer out there and say, don't ask us about premium tokens, because we get that every week. Don't ask us about card balance. And if you ask those questions, I literally just answer nonsense on the Reddit, and don't waste your breath, because we don't know. And I mean, I don't want to say we don't care, but we don't care. So when it comes to forgotten archetypes, I discussed this with Shinmiri in a previous episode, so I'm going to just bring it back. I think that reveal, but not as reveal was, which was flip cards over. I wanted, and I actually released a video about a year ago outlining my ideas for what a reveal archetype can look like, and I designed a few cards surrounding it. So if you want to go mess around on my YouTube, you could probably find that video. But it was stuff along the lines of cards that were like a bronze card that was like boost self by the number of gold cards in your opponent's hand. So it's like, it's not reveal, but it's information. I think that reveal could have been something called like espionage or something like that. So there was something like to that degree. And then there was a card where it's like a gold card that's like boost self by the provision cost of the highest provision card in your opponent's hand. So you're like, okay, they have a 12 provision card in their hand. Perfect. So you can kind of deduce what is coming around the pipe in those regards.
That's a cool effect.
Yeah, and I came up with 5 cards. Like I think I came up with like 3 golds and 2 bronzes in that regard to sort of flesh out something where if you were paying attention, you would know what the cards are without flipping them over. And I thought that was an interesting way to kind of rebalance and reintroduce without the fallback and the pitfalls of knowing precisely what somebody is holding.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I will talk to Vlad and Malijan.
For me, I would kind of echo what the community is saying. I would bring back dwarves in some way, but as an archetype, like a viable archetype. But I don't know in what way. Like for sure, I wouldn't want them to go back to their old ways when they would be resilient for, staying on the board for 3 rounds, and where you pump one up to like 50 to 70 power and you keep it there, because that wasn't a great interaction. But I would like dwarves as an archetype to have its own thing and become a thing. Like, I mean, there are still some good like dwarf cards, but I feel like overall you can't really build a competitive good archetype around them, and hopefully we'll do that in the future. But yeah, I think there were also people asking about this just before we dropped the patch notes, or after we dropped the patch notes, and I even tagged like Malijan.
I'll call him Moligayon. How about that?
Yeah, Malijan and Jean, and because it's something that I've been also like talking to them, and also probably a buff for Puffco in the near future is something that I mention on a weekly basis. But yeah, like it would be really, really nice for them as an archetype to emerge and actually be good and competitive. So that's for sure.
I like it. When is the mixtape coming out? I assume that people, mixtape? That's the question, is what mixtape precisely. I have always tried to organize a karaoke night when we're in Warsaw, and it always falls apart because no one takes me seriously. There's usually 10 people. Nobody likes
karaoke, probably.
Well, screw them. You have never seen Flake when it comes to busting out like a Blackstreet song or like, but a little. For some reason, I can knock it out of the park when it comes to R&B. For some weird reason, 90s hip hop and R&B, I can hold my own. But
respect.
I've been told I'm a pretty decent singer. I just don't do it because there's never opportunity, and I cherish the relationship I have with my neighbors, which is stay quiet and put up with my nonsense. So mixtape, I suppose, like when we're there, we could probably record something kind of cool. A little Gwent rap.
I have. Speaking of Gwent rap 2.0, I have like 4 different like lyrics for songs that were that I had help with our creative writing team, our creative writing marketing team, that they helped me out with like 4 different lyrics depending on separate beats. But I'm just trying to get a beat, but all the guys that are composers within our company, they're busy with imported game related stuff and they don't have time for me. So we can't really, and then we have to go to the studio and record it. And we're working from home, so it's always a hassle. And if we go to the studio, we go because there's like important stuff to do there related either to a tournament or some paperwork, stuff like that. So it's something that is being kind of put off all the time. So hopefully I can make 2.0 come back. It would be nice because everybody's still like, whenever we're talking amongst like the community team here or like Gwent team, someone will bring up the rap from like, oh, have you seen this? Especially when new people join, have you seen this? And I was like, oh my God, please don't show people that. But it's something that has embedded itself within the Gwent community.
I'm gonna come visit in the spring, and what in the fall. And what I need you to do is I need you to learn like maybe like 4 chords on like a keyboard or something like that.
Oh, nice.
And I'll bring my guitar and we'll rock out. We'll do a little vignette, if it were. I think that's fine.
Nice.
So when is the mixtape coming out? 2022, possibly 2023. We'll say 2023 to be safe.
That's bold. Yeah, 2023 is doable. 2022, we'll see. Like, it's on my list. Like, it needs to happen.
It's gonna happen.
There's so many side projects and so many projects on back burners that it's gonna get its time to shine for sure.
Yeah, the priority on this is like ultra low, but
yeah,
but the anticipation is ultra high, so it balances out.
Exactly. Last question from GL260. And when will you guys do guests? Will we ever do guests on the Flurza podcast? That's the question. Flake, what do you think?
It's fascinating because it's not that kind of show. There's so many other shows out there that do interviews and justifiably. There you go. Precisely. This week in Gwent. Shameless plug to you don't need to shameless plug. It's like you're part of the company. It's a company like initiative, right? Like Twig is not some random it's not a mixtape. So
me with the format that I'm doing right now from home, like through my Twitch channel, like people could think that Busha's doing it through his channel to get viewers on it, and he's kind of trying to make a profit out of it. No, it doesn't. It's like 200 300 people watching. It's like thousands are coming in, unless we maybe get somewhere in the future like a high stakes guest and stuff like that. Maybe that will happen one day, who knows. But yeah, I don't think this is the format for guests, although I kind of see sometimes when you have like podcasts which focused on two people pretty much talking about different subjects connected to their interest or whatever, they from time to time introduce like a guest specialist coming in to talk about something. So maybe we'll have our guest advisor when it comes. Although we actually do, we have data from guests coming in for the Dagon report, right? So it's kind of like we don't have like on-air guests, right?
What we should do, man, is now that Tailbot's retired, he should come in as like have like a 5-minute segment, expert analysis segment kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll just get him to do the Dagon report, where he comes in, he's like, "It's not happening, you idiots! Stop it! It's not happening."
Yeah.
It's like, oh, all right.
Just have him recorded like 0%.
Yeah, 0%. Exactly. Yeah. Same percentage of me losing tournament, 0%.
Exactly.
So easy. To answer your question, when will we ever do guests? It's possible. Nothing's impossible, but we're still waiting for Henry Cavill to get back to us. And then when he gets back, he's our first guest when we have a guest. But he just doesn't reply to our emails, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right. Next question from Jausor. I'm sorry. There's so many accents and letters that I've never seen in my life here, but I'll do my best. Nonetheless.
An awesome beard guy.
Yes, awesome beard guy. A wonderful human being who, if I'm not mistaken, met their partner through Gwent.
Amen.
So that's always good. This is a really great comment. First of all, when I'm listening to you guys, it's almost like I'm hearing a riveting conversation between two friends sitting at the bar. In reality, Pavel and I are friends. I mean, we live really far apart, but
we're long lost brothers, like you say always.
Exactly. I mean, the fact that we haven't been friends for long doesn't necessarily diminish the quality of our friendship. It is a steadfast bond between us. We have both poured our heart and soul into these rings that were forged in Mordor, and now our souls are interconnected. Let's see. Who's your favorite director, and how does it affect your life and work? Now, I don't know if he means director like from a film perspective, or are you talking about game director like Slama or Vlad? Where in which case I will say it used to be Slama and now it's Vlad. That's what I'll say. No, I don't know. I'm just saying whoever's the director at the time and whoever hires me for these events, that's my favorite. Not just my favorite director, my favorite human being of all time is whoever's the one who hires me for their events.
Wow.
But I mean director. I don't know if you mean film director, but you take the first stab at this, and I'll just follow your lead.
Film director, Jesus.
Jesus, I mean Jesus would be a pretty good film director.
No, I'll say Tarantino. Easy.
Tarantino's good. I've never really been a fan of his until I saw what's the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah, really? Well, I've watched like I think all of his movies and I love every single one of them. And I think, I mean, he does it in such a good way when he mixes a lot of like key themes that he's really into. And I always like the bloodshed of the blood fountains coming out of all the things. And he also like it needs to be grimy. It needs to have like very good. I love him for the dialogues in all of his movies. So the dialogues are good. He does like very strong characters, and I think he builds everything like super well. So I always will say Tarantino. Favorite Gwent game director is a difficult one because you would have to say. I mean, you have to root for the one that is current. But I will actually say Rethus because he was the OG number one. he will be in my heart always, especially after him flaming the community on Reddit in the early beginnings. That was the highlight of my Gwent career for sure. Seeing a game director losing his you know what on Reddit instead of taking it easy. And me trying to talk to him, not to take things personally and stuff like that. But he was very passionate about it. He was the person who started everything. And then Jason, I would say, is Gwent's savior and the person who I personally, as a CDPR employee and as a person working on Gwent, I can say that he brought me on the project that made me even like to work even closer with the development team. And then on the other hand, we have Vlad, who I've always considered a friend and a person who has been throughout the Gwent journey as long as I have, maybe a little bit shorter than me, but still like he was the person that joined in and kind of brought esports to a level that it is right now. And from that point on, like all his hard work and dedication has kind of led to where Gwent is now, but he was kind of taking over the gauntlet from Jason, which Jason, I think, steered the ship in the right direction. Vlad was the best person to take over and kind of head it, keep it heading on course. So that's my answer. Like I can't just name one person. I think the worst time when it comes to Gwent's direction was when, for sure, like before, like when Homecoming was announced, and then there was a lot of turmoil in terms of like changing directors within the company itself and all that stuff. So I wasn't a big fan of that. So yeah, that's my long answer to that question.
Oh, it's a good answer as well. For those who are not necessarily aware, yeah, you think that Gwent could be turbulent now? Oh boy, back then, like the game director used to put on the boxing gloves and jump in and start throwing haymakers. Man, like there was some. Yeah. There was some serious exchange going on back then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Friends, do yourself a favor. Go and, dust off the old reading glasses, because if you go in the Wayback machine and jump on Reddit, holy moly, it was the Wild West. So,
dude, when you had, like, game director, like, jumping in, like, showing data and telling, like, people, no, you are wrong. Data says and then community saying no, but we say this, and it was kind of like I've trust me. Like I know I'm kind of talking about this, but I've been a person that is well known for saying like, oh, this is not a problem. This is fine based on data. Like me misinterpreting and quoting data in a bad way led to some weird cases. Like I think there was once me talking about Dijkstra not being a problem and stuff like that. So and then it kind of span into becoming a thing and everybody was talking about it. But we all make mistakes. But I think like the golden rule when it comes to interaction on the internet always is if you're in the heat of the moment and you want to answer, give yourself an hour at least, or at least if you're very heated, just like stop and count to five. Count to 5 second rule always works. And then think if you want to write that same thing again. Because if you do, then maybe you need a little bit more time. But if not, then it probably means that you just got really mad at that one time and you should not be replying. So I think it applies to everything in life.
Yeah, sometimes it's like, does it really matter that when if to sort of inject more negativity or more like criticism is fine. And I always tell people this. I said like if you are
constructive criticism
precisely, and this is I had to go through this when I started. When I say replaced Mogwai because no one can replace Mogwai, but when I was brought in as McBeard's partner when Mogwai left, I was, there was a lot of criticism because I was not Mogwai, but I wasn't trying to be Mogwai. That was not what it was. But I always tell people, and I'm okay for criticism, and I get criticism all the time from Mark, the ISPA producer. But it's meant, and he always says it. He's like, I'm saying this with love, and I'm like, yeah, hit me. And it's all methods to improve what we're doing, and that's what it is.
It's good for you.
It is absolutely good for me because I am not the broadcaster I am today without that criticism, but. Mm-hmm. When the criticism is, I don't like Flake, he sucks. I'm like, tell me why I suck so that I can suck less. Because you saying that isn't meant to improve a situation. It's meant to bring me down. But I'm not here to be brought down. I'm here to build upon that. So I am okay with you saying that I suck or whatever, or tell me where I can improve. Be specific so that I can work on that. That's what I'm doing. Now, favorite director, well, like I said, it's whoever hires me, but it's like I think I've met Jason and I've met Vlad. Jason was awesome. We sat down at one of the events. We had a beer together. We talked about Montreal, where he was from. He's been and lived where I have. And Vlad has been a friend and has had time for me when I was a speck of dust amidst the cosmos in Gwent. He always had time for me, and now here I am, just a slightly brighter speck of dust amidst the cosmos. So, but movie director, I'm going to say Scorsese. I just can't turn down a Scorsese movie. There's so much imagery in Scorsese movies. There's so much going on that if you're paying attention is quite fascinating. I just love Scorsese movies in general. Most of my favorite movies that I can rewatch over and over, like Goodfellas, Casino, The Departed,
classics.
Like, how do you go wrong?
Classics.
How do you go wrong?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with those.
So I'll say Scorsese.
Nice, good choices.
I think we got one more.
Yep. What card or set of cards make up a strong deck? What are the Gwent essentials?
This one's from Chris Fuller. Cool, new member, I think, to the Gwent community. I remember I gave him a little bit of a coaching session, and he has since sort of rocket shipped to some pretty good rankings in Gwent. So Chris Fuller, good dude. What are the Gwent essentials? Well, if we're talking about cards, you can't go wrong with Ownermancy. You can't go wrong with Heatwave. Like, if ever I tell people, if you're going to be crafting cards, pick a faction, but neutrals are usually what you want to dump some of those resources in. And Ownermancy and Heatwave are typically the first two that you want to pick up. Yeah,
those two a must include. Muzzle after the changes for 10.2. Vigo's Muzzle's being played everywhere, I think, right now. But yeah, I would totally say Heatwave is a must, and if you're playing Scoia'tael, Pafko is a must. No, he's not. But Great Oak will be good now. For me, always the essential has been like, something that you can have as targeted removal, whatever it is. like if you're playing with any type of deck, you need the removal. Like you need the points, of course, but you need the removal. And it's like if you're thinking about your opponent playing something that is his win condition, if you have last say, you can get rid of it. Like you can get rid of the gourd, or anything like that. So that's I would have to agree with you here. Yeah, I mean, if you're crafting something, like the neutrals are always a good choice because you can use them across multiple decks, especially if you're starting out.
In terms of like faction specifics, what are the essentials? I'd say like Yennefer's Invocation for Nilfgaard,
Good choice.
Amphibious Assault, 100%.
Yeah.
Call of Nature, I think for and a lot of these just become tutors in reality.
Yes.
Tutors and removal
are your friends.
There was a time, I'm not joking, I remember several years ago, there was all kinds of Reddit noise about the fact that Heatwave was a bad card. And now there's all kinds of Reddit noise that Heatwave is just OP. So if the way things change is fascinating to me. But that's
standard any card game. Standard things are OP, then sometimes they become less played. That they come back and people are saying once again that they're OP, they should be banned, and it all depends of the current meta that you're playing in, but also depends kind of what other cards, like what the other cards are doing to influence those cards. So
yeah. So
welcome to card games.
Thank you, Chris. Chris's name on Twitter is, well, his handle is like @C_Fuller306, but the name is Bozo Nightmare, and I'm gonna use, it's such an obscure small little reference, but I'm gonna see if you know what it's a Bozo Nightmare is a lyric from a band or group.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You don't. Okay, so I
have no idea what it is.
I believe it's Beck. I think it's
really?
Beck lyric.
I love Beck. They're awesome.
Yeah. So when I see Bozo Nightmare, I think that's part of a Beck lyric. So I'm hoping if Chris hears this, if he will confirm or deny that it is. He got that from
Beck's
Beck.
album, like Colors, is like one of my all-time favorite ones. It's a quite recent one. It's one that I've been playing like nonstop when I'm driving. So yeah, Beck is awesome.
Beck is such a just to be in his mind when he's writing songs. Like they're so. It's like a jungle gym of like weird things going on.
Good. Yeah. We like that. We like the weird energy.
Well, that's it, man. I think that's the last question. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted. Again, send your questions our way. You can find the thread usually on Mondays or Tuesdays on Reddit. You'll find it there on my Twitter @WatchFlake. Pavel @PavelBurza. You can send us. It's
also
questions
on forums, but nobody asks questions there. I like even posted to like 2 episodes, and it's still like cricket noise. Nothing.
Nobody. We gotta incentivize people, but again, I'm gonna end it like I ended every other episode. Is I love you, man.
Likewise, man. Love you too.
Well, and we love you for listening. Thank you so much, everyone. Don't forget. Please follow this channel, the Gwentfinity channel on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, follow that as well. But I never really do this, but it's apparently for the metrics and for everything else, it's so important if you guys can just take a moment to give it a 5-star review on whatever platform, whatever review you guys can give it. It really does help us out here. We make no money off of this. It's not what we're here to do, but we
need sponsors too. So, hit it, like it, subscribe, all that stuff.
Damn right.
All the good stuff. We need a sponsor. This is the goal for 2022. Flurza gets a sponsor.
You know what? Like when I said
we'll make it happen.
We're not here making money. We'd love to. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if we could get rich off of just shooting the shit you and I once a week, like,
oh, dude,
so good. But ultimately, we're just here to hang out and talk about Gwent and life, and that's what it is. So
exactly.
Thank you so much, Burza, again, for just making my week so much brighter. I love you, buddy.
Same here. Love you too, man. And yeah, thank you for preparing the script as always. And I'm always hyped for Wednesdays when we just sit down and get to record.
Wednesdays are good days, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, you're not losing if you're learning. So keep playing cards. You might win. We'll see you next week on Flurza.
Bye.